A merchant is traveling through a dangerous area when he's suddenly surrounded by dozens of goblins. All he can do is scream for help, praying for a miracle, and that miracle comes. A group of warriors arrives and wipes out the goblins. One of them warns that if you see one goblin, there are 100 more nearby, so they can't let even one escape. Back in the city, we meet our protagonist, Fate. He's starving while working as a guard. Then he sees the same warriors from before walking by. They're talking about how one of them finally reached level 6 after today's goblin hunt. There were tons of goblins, and they made off with a big haul. They'll cash in and split the rewards. Fate focuses on the goblin hunt part, feeling depressed. That'll never be him. He's useless, hungry all the time, because of his worthless skill, gluttony. He's lucky to even have a job. A while later, a group of holy knights arrives. A trio of siblings. They're arrogant and cruel, always mistreating people and threatening to execute anyone for the smallest mistake, or anything they see as disrespectful. They're also the ones who gave Fate his job, so they show up to check if he's been doing it properly. He tells them he has, so they toss him a few coins as payment. When he bends down to pick them up, one of them steps on his hand, saying he didn't even notice him because he's so filthy. Then Fate's stomach growls, and they get angry. That noisy stomach makes it sound like they don't feed him well. How dare he embarrass their family like that? Who does he owe his livelihood to? They start beating him while mocking him, saying someone with a worthless skill like his only earns money thanks to their generosity. He should be grateful. While being beaten, Fate explains that in this world there are haves and have-nots. What separates them are the skills given by the gods. After taking a harsh beating, another holy knight arrives, a beautiful blonde woman named Roxy. She scolds the siblings, saying that hurting the citizens they're sworn to protect is not what holy knights should do. Guarding the gate is an honorable duty, one that should be their own responsibility. But the siblings argue that it's also their duty to give jobs to the have-nots, so this is just a difference in professional opinion. Then they leave. Roxy checks on Fate and asks if he's okay. She wipes the blood from his face and tells him that they're comrades when it comes to guarding the gate. This is how a true holy knight should act. Then she says it's time for her shift to begin and tells him to rest. Before he leaves, she tells him that if this kind of thing happens again, he needs to tell her. Later, Fate goes to a bar to get something to eat. He keeps thinking about what Lady Roxy said, but knowing those siblings, there's no telling what they might do to her. He can't drag her into his problems. The bartender, seeing Fate's injuries, warns him that if they keep beating him like this, he'll end up like the last guy, dead. He says he'll pray that doesn't happen. After leaving the bar, Fate's stomach growls again. He wishes he had been born with a better skill. He's not asking to be a holy knight. He'd settle for being a warrior, a merchant, or even a craftsman. But things are what they are. When you're born with nothing, you're stuck as a loser. Just then, he spots some thieves sneaking along the city walls. He immediately goes to inform Roxy. She says she needs to capture the thieves and asks him to take over her post at the gate. Fate can only hear the sounds of battle until one thief, who seems to have escaped, shows up in front of him. After hesitating between running away or facing the bandit, he decides to fight and kills him. At that moment, he hears a voice saying that his gluttony skill has activated. His stats begin to rise, and the skills Identify and Telepathy are added. Before he can ask what's going on, Roxy comes running to check if he's okay. She grabs his hand and asks if he's hurt, but Fate is more concerned about suddenly hearing her thoughts. The voice in his head stops once she lets go of his hand. Fate tries to tell Roxy she can take credit for everything, but she insists that without him, she would have failed her duty. She wants to show her gratitude and offers him a chance to work for her family. Does he really plan to keep serving those siblings until it kills him? He doesn't need to worry about them. His future is his to decide. Fate doesn't have to think long. A future where he's treated like trash by those three, or one where he works for Lady Roxy. He replies that it would be an honor to serve under her. Back home, Fate checks his stats and sees that they've reached triple digits. He also notices the telepathy skill and realizes that's how he heard Roxy's thoughts earlier. With numbers like that, he might actually be able to fight monsters. So the next day, he goes looking for a sword. It's been 5 years since he came to the royal capital, and all he's managed to save is 2 silver coins. The seller tells him that's only enough for the junk weapons in the barrel. Fate uses his Identify skill to check them one by one. They're all trash until he picks up a sword that somehow talks to him. His skill identifies it as greed, one-handed sword. The sword speaks again, saying it will make things worth his while and calls him gluttony. Fate asks how it knows about that, and the sword says they have a lot in common. So Fate decides to buy it. Meanwhile, the siblings are talking about some rumors they've heard. Apparently, Roxy is trying to hire Fate into her household without even asking them first. They say they should teach her what happens when someone defies their family. But the oldest sibling says there's no need to bother. There's no shortage of replacements for Fate, so it's not worth the trouble. Both their family and Roxy's are part of the 5 great families that support the kingdom, and there's no reason to make things complicated right now. Besides, he's more interested in his own studies at the moment, specifically the study of how to become immortal. After that, Fate heads to the meadows to hunt monsters. He finds dozens of goblins and kills them all. His gluttony skill keeps activating non-stop, and his stats are now close to reaching 4 digits. The sword points out that he's probably full now, right? That's when Fate realizes his stomach hasn't growled once all day, something that's never happened before. But he thought people were born with the only skills they'd ever have. The sword says he can thank gluttony for that. Normally, your stats go up through battle experience, but gluttony steals stats and skills instead without gaining any experience. That's why he's still level 1. But gluttony is also a skill that defies divine law, so he must keep it secret. Fate says that in that case, it's better for him to fight alone. But the sword reminds him that he's not alone anymore. He has it now. As Fate tries to leave, the sword tells him to collect the goblin ears so he can get paid. Back in the city, Fate says that 38 goblins earn him 3 silver and 80 bronze coins, enough for meat with dinner. But the sword insists that its maintenance comes first. Fate should treat it properly and polish it like the treasure it is. Fate laughs and says that for a sword, it sure has a high opinion of itself. The sword proudly replies that it didn't get the name Greed by accident. While they keep arguing, they bump into a man dragging a little girl by the hand. During the collision, Fate accidentally touches the girl and hears her thoughts. She's begging for help. Fate tries to check the man's skills before attacking, but the sword tells him the man is using the Conceal skill, which hides his abilities even from Fate's Identify skill. There's no way to know what the man is capable of. Even so, Fate can't just stand by and do nothing. Meanwhile, the man tells the girl she should be happy. There's a place where even worthless trash like her can serve a purpose. She's going to be a toy for the holy knights, and isn't that great? Fate grips his sword, ready to attack, but the sword warns him one last time, asking if he's sure. That guy looks tough, and this is his last chance to back out. But Fate says that now that he finally has some power, if someone is suffering right in front of him, he wants to help them.